Okay, TB Nation, it's time to talk about Harland Williams, because this all-around goofy guy is not what he seems. Though the public has only known the silly character actor through the lens of his zany movie portrayals, how he reached the level of his own movie Rocket Man is a twisted tale of backstabbing. Now, when Harland began his career in stand-up, he was one of the few performers who bucked the traditional style and went for full character performance. His cartoon-like physical style soon became a crowd favorite and even nabbed the attention of some network executives who were casting a new sitcom. But that's when a twist of fate changed everything. You see, at the audition for this new network show, among the other actors auditioning for the same role, Harland spotted his former roommate, Mike, and he was surprised that Mike was auditioning for this zany neighbor role, as Harland had always known him as a serious actor who looked down on comedy. Well, according to Harland, when Mike spotted him, his eyes lit up, but before the two could speak, Mike was called into the audition room. Well, after waiting for 2 hours, Harland was finally able to audition himself, but unfortunately he did not get the role, and he was horrified when months later he turned on the TV and saw the show Seinfeld for the first time. He realized his old roommate Michael Richards not only got the role, but was directly copying Harland Williams to create the character of Kramer. Now, for legal reasons, Larry David has claimed Cosmo Kramer is based on his former neighbor, but the truth is that Michael Richards stole everything from Harland. So you can imagine how devastating this was to poor Harland, who had no financial ability to fight this giant network. But Harland wasn't the type to give up. So after continuing to hit the clubs and audition, 4 years later, Harland lands a small part in Dumb and Dumber that puts him on a new trajectory. And he apparently took this small role so seriously that he attended a police training camp for 4 weeks. And after appearing in this Jim Carrey classic, Harland started being offered juicy Hollywood roles. And one that particularly stuck out to him was the script titled Rocket Man. Now, Harland reportedly didn't even read the script before agreeing. He was apparently only really interested in attending NASA space camp and receiving high-level training. Well, all the money the studio spent on this real-life astronaut training was well worth it, as the movie Rocket Man is ranked one of America's favorite movies of all time, and has even become a mandatory Easter classic. Now that Harland Williams had reached the highest status of Hollywood, some say the real Harland finally showed his face, as he became all but obsessed with human oddities and strange philosophies. And that's why he produced and directed the MTV Classic TV show Oddworld, a program that focused on strange human capabilities as well as bands like Jimmy's Chicken Shack, who would go on to make timeless music that blended 5 genres in hits like Do Right. And from this point on, Harland Williams was pulling the strings at MTV. And if you watched my episode on Theo Von, you know how, along with his sister Serena Alschel, he had been placed on MTV via inside familial connections. Now, all of this information has not been easy to dig up, as the Magellan Corp has most of it under lock and key since purchasing MTV in 2012. But within the same packet of top secret info about Theo von Ribbentrop and his secret German lineage, I found this small report on Harland Williams before he adopted his false last name. Apparently, Harland's real last name is Himmler, and he's a direct descendant of one of the most evil men in history. And if you don't believe me, just go to the credits of any MTV show from 1997 to 2012 and you'll find the name Harland Himmler in the credits. Still don't believe me? Just take any episode of Nitro Circus and play it in reverse. You'll hear Harland Williams inviting Satan into the minds of the youth. And while you'd think he'd be satisfied with being a billionaire from his years at MTV, it seems Harland wanted something money couldn't buy: revenge. So off camera, Harland started spending his time doing evil deeds. And he was even the person who dressed in blackface and started heckling Michael Richards in the 2006 incident that all but ended the reign of Kramer. And then, disguised as Carson Daly, Harland convinced Michael Richards to eat his own feces in an act of public atonement. But of course, this footage has never aired as no network censor would allow it. It seems the silly soft character we see on the silver screen is the exact opposite of the mean-spirited Third Reich adjacent freak he is off-screen. And though few know it, Harland Williams was the original screenwriter for the film Jingle All the Way. But in his dark and bloody version, Sinbad's character, the mailman, blows up half the building, killing 50 people. It was supposed to be a dark and twisted movie about American consumerism, but after some rewrites became the holiday classic we know today. And there's plenty more strange things about this guy, like the fact that the last outgoing phone call from Aaron Carter's phone was to Harland, or the fact that he's attempting to start what he's calling a race battle, and insisting that it's nothing like a race war. But we'll have to save that for another time. Until then, Harland Williams, aka Harland Himmler, you're a total bitch. Okay folks, if you're keeping up, I wound up at the Democratic Republic of the Congo. After being stopped by men in military uniforms, I quickly pointed at my I voted sticker, but they didn't seem to know what I meant. So they took me to their military leader, who quickly slapped me. I could only assume this was some type of traditional greeting. While we couldn't speak the same language, I was able to utilize the website youtube.com to catch this military chieftain up to speed on the Austin comedy scene. Well, after agreeing that him and his militia can host Kill Tony after a hostile takeover, we high-fived and shot guns in the air. Tony Baloney better start running, because the TB Army is now on the hunt for baloney. TB Nation, please support this cause and spread this wherever you can. Together with this Congolese militia, we can finally take down the Austin axis of evil. For more long-form content, check out my podcast, This World Blows.